Well, hey, boys and girls, here we are with another exciting episode of Issues, and I'm going to start calling it Issues 2012 this year because we have something to say. So it's Issues 2012 again, folks, and we're coming to you from downtown Santa Cruz. That's right, Community TV. And you know, I made a lot of predictions over the last couple years on my show, and if you need to see those, I want you to go to the website, www.sandraleepresents.com, and you can watch some of those predictions. It's amazing how I nailed all this stuff, folks, and I'm even flabbergasted when I go back and see how well I did. I mean, I think I pretty much nailed it. And so we're going to start off a new year with new predictions, folks, and I can't wait. Well, it's an election year, folks, and that's what we're talking about. We need to get everybody out there registered to vote. We're going to get all the bands on again. We're going to do a rock the vote. We're going to get you guys, everybody's going to be registered. Everybody's going to vote. I don't care who you vote for. Well, I kind of care, but I just want you to vote. And you know, as I see it, folks, as we go into this election, there's really only one true Republican. As I see it, there's only one Republican that's standing up for the big corporations and the big businesses. Yes, that's right, folks, Mr. Obama himself. As I see it, he's a true Republican. He's a conservative, and he's pushing the Republican agenda better than anybody else I see out there. And you know what, folks? It's pretty cool, the Democrats, to not give us any choice at all, isn't it? That even though he's got the lowest approval rating of any president running again for office, they didn't even give you guys a choice, huh? That's why I'm not a Democrat anymore. But anyway, you know what's even cooler is these people that are running against them. They're supposed to be Republicans. They call themselves Republicans, but you know what they really are, folks? That's right. We're going to say it here first. It's the Fourth Reich. The Fourth Reich is coming to America, to a town near you, and all it takes is a little bit of your wacky mentality to make it all happen. All you people down south, I know you've been waiting for this for a long time down there in Alabama, South Carolina. I know you guys are waiting for the Fourth Reich to come to your town, and they're coming to a town near you soon. I hope you get out there and support those guys. Well, anyway, each one of these candidates is doing such a good job that the leader ends up having to quit, and I call that shooting foot. That's right, folks. It takes only a few minutes to completely destroy a campaign. And look at good old Herman Cain. You know, we were one of his strongest supporters out here at Spilly Chillyville, and he went ahead and shot himself in the foot, and Gingrich is going to shoot himself, and I think Romney's just a gun pull away from shooting himself in the foot. So it looks like we're going to have Obama for another 4 years, whether you like it or not. I'm predicting that today. Well, anyway, speaking of Republicans, how about our governor, Jerry Brown, huh? He's the one piece of work now, too. You know, he's out there. He wants to make cuts in programs, cuts in school funding, cuts in social services, cuts in aid to families. You know, that sounds like a Republican to me. And even the Democratic Senate leader in California says, wait a minute, we're not going along with any of that stuff. So who's the real Republican? Jerry Brown, thank you. And lo and behold, who's right there? Our hero, Dianne Feinstein. Yes, the woman who's never going to die, and she's going to destroy us and make her family richer than rich can be. She is the 1%, folks. Her and her husband, the big military contractor, they are the 1%. Well, anyway, she personally sent a letter to Jerry Brown saying that we got to keep the high-speed rail program intact. That's right, it's detrimental, and even if we have to put it under Caltrans, we got to move forward with this high-speed. And I don't mean the cocaine, folks. I'm talking about the damn train. Well, anyway, speaking of Republicans and elections, most of you know George Bush, the last one. Some of you remember George, his dad, and what a great guy he was as vice president to Reagan and then being president himself for a few years. Well, before all that was a wonderful gentleman named Prescott Bush. And it turns out that this guy and J.P. Morgan were the funding supporters of World War II, folks. That's right, they bankrolled it all so they could get interest. They were a strong force in getting the Federal Reserve enacted. And then, you know what, folks? Here we are. So I have a little reenactment that we found in the tunnels in Germany under Berlin when they were digging up the rubble, and they found this little clip of Mr. Prescott Bush and Adolf Hitler. And so let's take a look at that and see what they have to show.
Oh,
Well, Mr. Prescott Bush, welcome to Berlin. Welcome to Berlin. Now, what can I do for you today?
Hi, Hitler.
Well, hi, right back at you.
I have a dream, and I've got funding from our cousins, the Rothschilds.
Oh, very interesting, very interesting.
Yes, we will use you for the supreme leader of the master race and our quest for world domination.
I would make a great supreme leader. I've always dreamed of being the great supreme leader. Well, what do I have to do to be this great supreme leader?
Well, the same as we did in World War I, and create a national disaster and a recession and start a little war, maybe kill some Jews.
But I like the Jews. I don't want to kill the Jews.
Well, maybe we will only kill a few of them and take their gold and property and call it medical research.
Ah, medical research. We can do a lot with medical research. Well, that sounds very good then. I think we have a deal.
Yes, when? Well, here's the suitcase.
Oh, very nice.
Hire some thugs, and we can call.
Yeah.
Oh, lots of cats in here. We can call them Nazis. We'll use the word Nazis, and we have.
I like that Nazi thing.
We got some new tags that we can armbands that we could put on all of our.
Use these for all of our military personnel.
Yes, and all of our friends can have one, and then we can put posters up and create a whole new master race.
We will rule the world, you and I, Prescott Bush. You and I.
Hi, Hitler. Hi, bye, Hitler.
Bye. Well,
all
folks,
right,
I guess that's how it all started. I mean, just a little simple encounter with Prescott Bush and Hitler. Anyway, it's pretty interesting, what happened back in those days and what's happening today. I mean, if you look back at Japan in the 1940s, we set up a lot of blockades around the islands and put a bunch of sanctions on them because they were helping Germany. And we figured the best way to stop that was by imposing sanctions and setting up blockades and not letting aid in and out and closing bank accounts. Well, guess what, folks? That's what we're doing to Iran today. We're fucking putting up sanctions. We're putting up blockades. We're causing all kinds of stuff until they're going to crack. I mean, look at Japan. Finally, they had to do something to get us off their backs. And unfortunately, it wasn't a very good decision. And now we're doing the same damn thing in Iran, folks. And it's just a matter of time before they snap. And we're saying, oh, yeah, just like in Iraq, all weapons of mass destruction, the intelligence shows. Well, you know what I heard on the Sunday programs, folks? That intelligence is showing that they're going and striving for uranium enrichment and that they're going to have a bomb in a couple of years. Well, it's the same intelligence, folks. The same intelligence, folks. The same intelligence, folks. Hello? I hope you finally figure it out that it's bullshit. What? Sandra, what? What do you mean I'm getting too over the edge? Oh, no, don't make me do the cooking thing. Oh, damn it. Well, folks, Sandra's come over the loudspeaker and says that our sponsors, and I got to thank my sponsors, said that we've got to branch out and not be so politically aggravated or motivated, I think is what the word was. But anyway, so to please my sponsors and to please my producer, we're going to have a cooking segment on the first time ever on Issues. Do we have that tape anywhere? Let's watch that cooking segment, shall we? I want to be chili heads, and I'm really pleased about that. And so now if you write down this recipe and follow it to the T, you can be just like me, the Reverend Chili. That's right. Just think of all the flavors and the savoriness of this whole experience as you get a taste of the real chili. We want to use the brains for the stew, but I want you to save all these other parts for later. We're going to make some gravy out of those. I think you'll really like that. The good gravy. Here I have plenty of baking soda. Well, I got some green hot dogs. I guess that'll work. And well, folks, the recipe calls for some Indian ink for coloring, but those damn Indians, they don't want me killing them anymore. And there's plenty of blood left over, and I think that'll add some perfect flavoring for this wonderful pie we got. Now look at this stuff. Doesn't this just look wonderful? It's cooking and bubbling and stewing, and stir it up a little. But you know what? A good chef never cooks anything without taking a couple taste-os first. So, yeah. Spilly, what do you think you're doing, Spilly? You can't do shit like that on TV. This is a family show. What do you think you're going to do? Rachel, come on. I told you about this cooking segment a long time ago. Now, just let me do it. No way, Spilly. I'm going to beat the shit out of you if you try to do anything that stupid on my show. Oh, no, it's Oprah. Oprah, what are you doing here? Well, goddamn it, Spilly, I'm going to kick the shit out of you. Don't you know Rachel Ray's my program? God damn it, Spilly. Spilly, I'm going to get you. Oprah, no. Oh, that's my leg, Oprah. Oh. That's what you get, Spilly, you stupid bastard, messing with my bitch. I'm going to get you next time. Well, that went over real well, didn't it? That's a great new segment. Sandra, I sure hope you're happy with that, huh? That was beautiful. I hope you enjoyed that at home, folks. Don't try that at home unless if you're with trained professionals, though. And definitely watch out for Oprah because she does one hell of a body slam. Let me tell you, my head's still hurting. Well, anyway, I've got a great show ahead of us still. I've got the mayor of Santa Cruz back, Mr. Don Lane, and this is going to be exciting. You're going to want to watch this one. And then, of course, closing thoughts with Robert Norris. So anyway, stick around and watch this, huh? Well, hey, boys and girls. Here I am with the illustrious mayor of Santa Cruz, Mr. Don Lane. Don, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule again to be here with us. Well, we certainly had a blast on New Year's, a great time, and I got a chance to meet you a little bit. But why don't you take a second real quick and tell our viewers a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I've been a city council member for the last 3 years, and then just a month or so ago, my colleagues elected me for a one-year term as mayor, so I'm just getting started with that. I also work part-time as a manager of a charitable foundation here in Santa Cruz. I live on the west side with my wife and my 22-year-old daughter, and I have some grandkids up in Davis who I spend a lot of time with. And as I think a lot of folks know, besides those two, my city job and my job with that foundation, I spend a lot of my own time working on the issue of homelessness and have done that for about 20 years.
You know, we have a whole lot of issues with homeless stuff here in Santa Cruz, and I know you're a big advocate for your stuff, and yet here I got editorials from our local paper that are just slamming you for that. And then you got people like Robert Norris that are slamming you for not doing more for the homeless people. And how do you see yourself fitting in and trying to please? You can't please everybody, and I'm so behind you in trying. You know, homeless is a big issue with me also, but where do you see yourself in trying to keep this a smooth flow?
Right. You know, I don't know if I'm really trying to keep a smooth flow. I think that's probably important to say. One of the things that, even though it's uncomfortable, that has already been somewhat successful is I've got a lot of people talking about the issue, and I think that's really important. The way I look at it is, at least 20 or 30 years in Santa Cruz, we, the community, have been kind of fighting about this, you know, having lots of frustration all over the place. And I think people kind of got worn out, and there's not a lot of serious engagement about dealing with homelessness. It's much more now about just yelling back and forth. And I'm not saying that I'm going to end that, but I would like to say to everyone, let's do more than that. Let's really get serious about finding out what the best strategies and solutions are. And I think we've started a conversation around that. It doesn't mean that it won't be hostile from time to time, and that's okay, because that's Santa Cruz politics.
Well, you know, along those same lines of what we're talking about is the downtown issue. And you know, a lot of people have been talking about, you know, closing off downtown, making it a one-way street. This seems to be in the news. I know I read about it in the Good Times a couple weeks back, that this is coming to the forefront again. You know, and then on the same ads right here of homeless people begging on the streets, making downtown a not such a nice place to be. What's your vision of downtown, Don? What do you see us making downtown a more pleasing? Because what I'm finding is you guys started charging in the parking lots. It's turning into a police state downtown with, you know, cops just everywhere. If something happens, there's 3 cops going after one homeless guy, and it just seems like it's a big waste of money. And what's your vision of downtown?
Right. You know, my vision of downtown, you know, even though I want to address kind of the specific things you said, is mostly that it is a welcoming place for as many people as possible. It's a pretty, I mean, I think we sometimes lose sight when we kind of, because Santa Cruz, again, so many issues get sort of overheated. And downtown, for the whole time I've lived here, it's always been an issue, a political issue.
Well, I'm not talking to your predecessors about this.
Yeah.
You know, that hasn't gone away.
So it just perpetuates kind of a certain negativity that I don't think actually is very real. For even though I don't want to disagree that there are some problems, but you know, I come down here a lot. I spend almost every lunchtime I'm around Pacific Avenue. Every weekend that I'm in town, I come down here to go to a movie or go do something, and it's a pretty lively place. There's a lot of different people, tourists and locals and street people and musicians and police and the whole thing. They're all here. And for me, it's a pretty lively, exciting place. It's a place that I'm drawn to because of that liveliness.
You know, I was listening to CBS Radio on Monday, and over San Francisco they have, and now Santa Cruz is facing a $5 million deficit. And the city manager is going to have to cut public services, one of which is the SWAT team, as well as other programs. And I'm sitting at home in my homeless RV there with my little battery-powered transistor radio, thinking, SWAT team in Santa Cruz. 1, has it ever been used? 2, what in the world are we doing with a SWAT team? And again, this all goes around this whole police state that I'm just horrified by, that we're turning into a militia. Don, what's up with that?
Well, I think, you know, the idea that kind of got, even though I'm not sure that the radio station got the story quite right, the idea that was really proposed there was, does Santa Cruz City Police Department need a SWAT team? Wouldn't it make sense, since the county sheriff already has a SWAT team, couldn't we join forces and maybe contribute to that, but then not have our own? So that would save money, and that was the starting point of that conversation.
For a SWAT team in the first place?
Well, let me mention why. I mean, you asked if they've ever been used. There's been 2 situations that I think got a lot of attention in the last couple of years where I assume a SWAT team was called. One is there was the prisoner who escaped from the county jail, a jail prisoner who was at the hospital and broke away, went to a child care center and into neighborhoods, and the SWAT team came to deal with that. Another was, even though I think they came belatedly, is when there was sort of what I don't think was genuinely a riot, but when there was a major disorder downtown, where a group of people went down and broke windows in a dozen or more businesses downtown, and people wearing hoods and disguising themselves and kind of trying to do this underground. So there have been a few situations, not frequent, and I think that's why we may disagree about whether there needs to be a SWAT team, but at least the infrequency is clear.
If we talked about money, how much we paid for their 2, you know, granted there was 2 times. But anyway, I want to end this on a really positive note, Don, and let's talk about good things now in Santa Cruz. You know, what can we look forward to, even if there's a budget crunch? What steps are we taking to make this a more friendly environment for our citizens as well as our tourists?
So let me just throw out the quick ones that are just to give a sense. One is I just met with some folks who are trying to create a new bicycle event on Westcliff Drive. That would be really great. I think that there's a lot going on around bicycles. I mean, on a much more significant kind of ongoing project is we're hopefully going to get this Arana Gulch bike path built in the next couple of years, so we'll really have a great new bikeway.
What is that going to entail?
That's just building basically building the pathway as we kind of create some of the environmental protections for the endangered species plant that's right adjacent to it. But it's a project over the next couple of years of just bringing in some fencing and cattle who graze, which actually promotes the recovery of plants.
That's great.
And at the same time creates this new bikeway and accessible
and
walkway.
Where's that going to go?
That's on the east side. Arana Gulch is our green belt over above the yacht harbor. So it's a nice open space, and we're opening that up. We have our new Marine Sanctuary Visitor Center opening
How's
up
that
in the
coming
spring.
along? I see that construction
I know.
down.
If you go now, I think most people, if you go by it now from the outside, it's pretty close to a done building. I mean, it pretty much looks the way it's going to look. There's a lot of work still to be done indoors to create the exhibits and kind of just put it all together into the interior. But probably late spring, early summer, it'll be open, and that's going to be a real benefit to locals and visitors. So, I mean, I see a lot of good stuff happening along that line.
That's great. Well, Don, we're running out of time if we haven't run out of time a long time ago. But God bless you, sir. I'm a huge fan of yours, and I appreciate you sitting in the hot seat today and taking some of the heat. And, I don't get a chance to get to the council meetings, but you got the Chile input, and the Chile heads out there are going to be behind you. Just stand up for us and not the government, and I think we'll go a long way together. And I wish you were mayor for more than a year, dude. It's just like that's. By time,
I think I'll be done after a year.
Yeah, you probably will. I would imagine, but we need people like you in charge. So thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Andy.
All right. Well, let's get on with the show, huh? Here we go.
Hi, I'm Robert Norris, and I've got some concerns I'm going to bring to you, I followed Don Lane, the mayor, in this particular broadcast. I didn't actually hear everything he said, got to the studio late, but there's really kind of a false debate that's going on in the papers, or was when this was filmed. Don Lane is not an advocate for homeless people. He is a politician and the mayor of Santa Cruz, and really this shouldn't be about him at all. He's one of a city council that has criminalized homeless survival realities in Santa Cruz. It's illegal in Santa Cruz to sleep after 11 o'clock at night. You ask Don Lane and any of the members of the council, they will not act to change this, even though Los Angeles and San Diego, mostly through court pressure, but to some extent through settlement in response to that, has made it legal, at least on the books, for people to sleep where they have to sleep. Not anywhere and everywhere, but in certain places. We don't have that in Santa Cruz. We have a shelter emergency, we have a crisis, and when we had a movement that actually provided a campground for people, 100 to 200 people slept in the San Lorenzo Park for 2.5 months, with essentially a reduced crime rate. They took care of themselves, they had a community, they had shelter, they had safety. They were dispersed by then Mayor Coonerty with the support of Don Lane, Chief Vogel, City Manager Martine Bernal, who is a much more important figure and a much more highly paid figure than Don Lane. He's the city manager. And of course, Danette Shoemaker, another highly paid bureaucrat who's the head of Parks and Rec. We have a situation duplicating the national sort of fantasy that there's some meaningful difference between Lane and his opponents on the homeless issue. I heard a very fine speech by Mayor Lane at his inauguration around the homeless. However, it had nothing to do with what he has done in the last 3 years as city council member or what he says he's going to do in the next year. He has no proposals on this issue. So it's up to us, it's up to the community to do the kinds of things, establish the kinds of services, take the kinds of action that stop the over-policing, stop the SWAT team at a snap of the fingers, stop police from harassing people for victimless crimes such as sitting near a building or falling asleep where there is no shelter at night, or harassing a bicyclist for riding the wrong way on Pacific Avenue. These are things the police are becoming more and more empowered to do in spite of claims that the police department is going to get cut back. And that hasn't happened yet. They just are proposing targets. They aren't actually doing anything in terms of any kind of specific cutbacks. And Lane has always been a supporter of the police, as has been the city council, in terms of the bad side of the police department's behavior. I'm not talking about investigating serious crimes of rape and robbery and burglary and assault. I'm talking about what I think the police may be spending a great deal of time on, which is criminalization of poor people at the behest of the merchant community, at the behest of nervous West Side residents. Occupy Santa Cruz is still operating. You can still check it out every night at 6 o'clock. It's out there in front of the county building, in spite of action by politicians and the people that serve under them, Don Lane and those who serve under him, that have made it criminal for homeless people and for people who are political protesters to use the political space that they need to to seek a redress of grievances. That has to change, but it only changes through community action, people standing up, as they did in the DIY parade, the do-it-yourself parade, which I didn't see the mayor walking in, for instance. A lot of talk, a lot of fear, a lot of foolish reliance on the delusion of security through a police department, and of course the increasing indefinite detention you have nationally, and people like Gary Johnson, a homeless man in jail now, facing 6 months for peaceful protest, first at City Hall and now at the county building. This is something that isn't going to change unless we change it. If you want to follow this further, check out Free Radio Santa Cruz, 101.3 FM on Thursday nights, 6 to 8 in the evening, and on Sunday mornings from 9:30 to 1. I'll be there. Get in touch, call in, listen in, give your reports, and keep an eye on the police, and keep an eye, witness when you see things going a little crazy. Because unfortunately, we're going to get more and more of that, I'm afraid, as time proceeds, without your intervention. Thanks. I'm Robert Norris, and thanks to the hosts of this show for letting me come on to talk about this.
Well, folks, that brings us to a close of another exciting episode of Issues, and I sure hope you liked it. We did a lot of new stuff tonight. Tonight, I just want to say I love you. You're the greatest. Check our website, sandraleepresents.com, and check out those back shows. Anyway, good night, folks.
Mountain Mike's Pizza, where the freshest ingredients and delicious toppings equal great pizza. With a full salad bar, a buffet table, and a fun, family-friendly atmosphere. We got game rooms for the kids, 3 big screen TVs. Mountain Mike's Pizza, located at 3715 Portola Drive.